Hello and welcome back to the Pitch Side Podcast once more. I'm your host, the HOD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from these episodes of the podcast, which you can listen to on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. And of course, follow us on social media. I'm at PSP on Twitter, Pitch Side Pod on Instagram. And welcome to episode 129 of the Pitch Side Podcast. Before anything on this episode, I'll be really a stupid person if I didn't start where we should start, and we should start with the European Super League. It has been sort of reported, strongly suggested yesterday. There's no really official statements yet, but it's been heavily suggested that the European Super League is going on, and it's going to be happening indeed, starting next season, of course, with 12 clubs reportedly, 6 from England, 3 biggest from Spain, and the 3 biggest from Italy. Of course, there were suggestions that PSG and Bayern Munich were to join, but reportedly as well, they were refusing this suggestion as well. Borussia Dortmund were apparently approached and they refused as well. Porto are considered to join this Super League as well. I don't know, 18th of April is going to go down as a historic day in football. You decide. A historic day or a sad day. I mean, this is the vision of Andrea Agnelli. Obviously, this is not the time to fully talk about the situation. Tomorrow, I promise, really tomorrow in the episode, we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of what the situation really is. But, you know, there can't be two points of views. There can't be two point of views on this one. There can't be two opinions on this one. There is one clear opinion on this one. This is bad and catastrophic for football as we know it. This is simply a greedy league, a greedy sort of proposition to just make more money for the big clubs and, you know, just completely stomp on the smaller clubs. And this is Andrea Agnelli's vision. This is the Super League that he always dreamt of. This had been 5-6 years now in the making, since he became the president of Juventus. I mean, credit to him, he did a great job at, restoring Juventus as a big club in the world, but the European Super League was a big ambition of his, and it getting more and more realistic, and with his, I want to give him something. I'm going to give him credit, really, for his persistence, at least. I mean, it's a bad thing. Again, there can't be two opinions about this. This is bad for football, bad for fans. But, give him credit for his persistence, the ability to persuade the big club owners, into this one. But again, this is not the time to talk about it properly. I think tomorrow, when we get the sort of reaction from UEFA, the official reaction from FIFA as well, the decisions that could be made. Reports suggest that there would be some serious punishments, being banned and expelled from any European competition, being the players not allowed international breaks and all of that. It is going to be some big day for UEFA and FIFA, but we'll see what's going to be happening. Again, tomorrow we're going to be delve into this even more, but for now, let's just feel sad about football as it is, and think what's going to be happening in the future of this competition, for the Champions League in particular, with this European Super League. Hopefully it doesn't go to pass, and hopefully whoever thought about it are going to be punished, and they will never be forgotten or forgiven. Let's turn our attention now to something more normal, and let's talk about the Serie A, starting, of course, from Milan, where Milan defeated Genoa 2-1, and they needed a stroke of luck to do it. They needed an own goal from Gianluca Scamacca in the 68th minute to do it. They weren't exactly having the best of performances at the moment. Milan definitely, they sort of squeaked one away, of course, with no Ibrahimovic inside. He was suspended, of course, for the red card, and, they're winning at the good list, and the good thing at least that they're winning, and they got the win from this one, so nobody really would blame them. But again, the performance might not be the best of ones. Obviously, they will just try and keep the place for the top 4 at the moment. We don't know what's going to be happening in the Champions League, whether it's going to be going on or not. But for the moment, Milan are in it, and they will, stay in the top 4 at the very least. until the end of the season. They will try to do so. Another team that will stay in the top 4 is Atalanta, who defeated Juventus 1-0 in Bergamo. It was a cagey game. It was not a beautiful game to watch, realistically speaking, from a neutral point of view. Cagey, all about tactics, particularly in the first half. I mean, the game felt really stale at certain points, and particularly Juventus, I'd say. The absence of Ronaldo, I don't know if it had any effect on this. Ronaldo, of course, had a slightly a bit of a flexor hip issues, of course. That's why he was left out of the squad. Atalanta, defended really well for the first half, and then they started attacking a little bit more in the second half until Ruslan Malinovsky scored the winner in the 87th minute for Atalanta. Of course, where Atalanta really upped the ante in the second half. And then they saw the game out and saw the game through. 1-0, important victory for them. Gives them the third position with 64 points, of course. 2 points ahead of Juventus, 4 ahead of Napoli. We're going to be talking about them down the line, who drawn against the Inter. But between these two matches, there were Bologna defeated Spezia 4-1, a complete thrashing from Bologna to Spezia. Lazio in an incredible thriller against Benevento, defeating them 5-3. This game had everything. It had disallowed goals, penalties, it had missing penalties, it has, it has excessive yellow cards and all of that. And this ended 5-3. I mean, credit for both teams, really. They gave us a great game, by the way. 2 disallowed goals for each side. 2 disallowed goals for each side. Also, a penalty missed from Lazio. A penalty scored for Benevento. 3 goals on set pieces of Benevento. This was crazy. I mean, this was an old crazy game, really. Could have gone either way. But Lazio in the end settled it 5-3. Torino managed to beat a 10-man Roma 3-1 in Turin. Amadou Diawara was sent off late on in the game before the third goal for Thomas Rincon, and this is for Andrea Belotti. This was not a good performance from Roma, who just qualified to the semi-final of the Europa League. This was not a good performance from them, and definitely not a performance of a team that wants to get into the top 4 in the Serie A this season. This was not good. This was just not good. Torino were the more dangerous side by far, and they scored 3 goals for it, of course, despite Roma leading early on thanks to Borja Mayoral in the 3rd minute. And in the quote-unquote main event of the evening, let's say, Napoli drawn against Inter 1-1, and this was another cagey one for the most part. Particularly from Inter, of course. You don't expect Antonio Conte to give you exciting games when you watch him. But Napoli, tried to be the better side. They were, to a certain extent, the better side. But overall, this wasn't exactly exciting. I mean, this went too tactical for my liking, my personal liking at the very least. Napoli led in 36 minutes thanks to an own goal forced between Milan Skriniar and Semir Handanovic. And then, of course, Inter started, to try and press more in the second half. And they got the early equaliser thanks to Christian Eriksen in the 55th minute. But after that, the game went really, really cagey. Again, this was not a great watch. The 2 biggest games of the Sunday in the Serie A were not exactly great watch, not exciting to watch. But the result is what happens, and what matters in football is result. And for Napoli, that is what's going to be mattering. They got the draw, they didn't get the win. They are 5th, 2 points behind Juventus. They could have gotten a great opportunity to go joint 4th and, try and stay neck and neck with Juventus at least for the top 4. If they don't if they win the game against Inter, but they didn't. As for Inter, they don't lose a lot, really. 9 points ahead of AC Milan at the top of the table. They're going to win the league. There's no doubt about it at the moment. They're just, finishing the season pretty much and looking ahead for the next season in Serie A. The table stands like this, of course, after the end of the fixture. Inter with 75 points. AC Milan with 66, Atalanta 64 at 3rd, Juve 62 at 4th, 60 for Napoli at 5th, 58 for Lazio, 54 for Roma at 7th, 46 for Sassuolo, Verona 41 points at 9th, Sampdoria 39, 37 for Bologna, 36 for Udinese, 32 points for Genoa and Spezia, 30 for Torino, Fiorentina and Benevento, with Cagliari at the bottom of the table with Parma and Crotone at 20th in the Serie A. We go on from Italy to the Premier League, and two games which took place on Sunday. Arsenal salvaged a draw against Fulham at home, and the goal in the 97th minute from Edin Nketiah, of course, salvaging a draw for the Gunners after a goal from Josh Marja from the penalty spot in the 59th minute. The game, has been flowing in the favour of Arsenal, really, but they weren't effective. They didn't take their chances in the first half. They had a goal disallowed. They couldn't really break Fulham down. And again, it was a classic case of the game, as long as the game is getting 0-0 and the Fulham are not conceding, they took confidence in themselves. They started, going up more and more to attack and to threaten Arsenal. And the second half in particular, they had a spell, where they were really, really dangerous in the first 10 or 15 minutes or so. They scored a goal and then they sat back in defence and defended really well for the most part, to be fair. They denied Arsenal any sort of real threat for the most part. But, of course, Edin Nketiah coming on as a sub for an injured Alexander Lacazette scored the 97th minute equaliser for Arsenal, salvaging them. I'm not going to say an important point because in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they will make a top four. But they salvaged them a point that, will, save face, exactly. They will save face for Arsenal, and they will at least not give them the humiliating feeling that a loss against Fulham at home would have given them. For Fulham, of course, the result should have been more important. If they won the game, it would have been, decreasing the gap between them and Burnley at the bottom of the table, trying to sneak maybe out of the top, out of the bottom three. Burnley with a game in hand, though. There's a whole bunch of situations, of course, involved in this, in this relegation fight in the Premier League. Really getting interesting at the moment, this relegation fight. Elsewhere in the Premier League, in Manchester United defeated Burnley 3-1, and they needed two late goals to do that. Although they went ahead and took the lead thanks to Mason Greenwood in the 48th minute, it didn't take long for James Tarkowski to equalise from a set-piece for Burnley. Classic Burnley goal, really. A set-piece crowding the area. The players from Burnley being physical and being just themselves, being strong. They made it count and they scored the equaliser. And then, of course, United went for the killer. They went for the winner. They tried and pressed and did everything they can until the 84th minute, where Mason Greenwood made it 2-1. Beautifully worked goal, by the way, from Manchester United. And then Edison Cavani in another beautifully worked goal as well in the 93rd minute, making it 3-1 for Manchester United. I think at least a good victory for them, keeping the momentum at the moment going. Of course, no real worry about their 10th place at the top of the table. They're 10 points behind Leicester City, who, by the way, qualified to the final of the FA Cup to meet Chelsea. Then, of course, after defeating Southampton 1-0 in the other semi-final of that competition. Overall, this is going to be just an incredible game overall. It wasn't exactly entertaining for Man United or for Burnley, particularly in the second half, where Man United started getting frustrated and pressing from one side. But the win is a win for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He will take it whenever it comes. Of course, the fixture's still going on with Leeds United playing Liverpool on Monday. There will be also Chelsea-Brighton on Tuesday, Aston Villa, Manchester City on Wednesday, and Leicester City-West Bromwich Albion on Thursday. Rounding up the episode, and let's talk about Spain, and we go to La Liga as we talk mostly, of course, about the big two sides in it, in Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, who were on action on Sunday, with Barcelona, of course, just won the Copa del Rey. They were not available in this fixture. They will play Granada on the 29th of April, of course, with Athletic Bilbao facing Real Valladolid. Elsewhere, of course, in La Liga on Sunday, Osasuna defeated Elche 2-0. Sevilla get themselves a good position at 4th, defeating Real Sociedad 2-1. And, of course, Deportivo Alaves defeated Huesca 1-0. Celta Vigo drawn against Cadiz away from home 0-0. A great, entertaining draw between Real Betis and Valencia, 2-2 in the Benito Villamarin. And Villarreal completely thrashing Levante away from home 5-1. Incredible performance from them, which leaves us with the two biggest teams in the league, and the two at the top, with Atletico Madrid completely smashing Eibar 5-0. This was, I think, one of the best performances in Atletico Madrid this season, at least one of the best in a while. With Marcos Llorente scoring, and Carrasco scoring, Angel Correa scoring. This felt like the Atletico Madrid that should have been playing for the whole season. This felt like the Atletico Madrid of the early season, the Atletico Madrid that was really slick and quick and moving in transition, moving really good. Obviously, you would wish that they would play Eibar every week if they are an Atletico Madrid fan, and you want them to play Eibar each week to beat them 5-0, to have easier victories to win the league in the end. But not every opponent is Eibar. Obviously, there is Barcelona coming in a couple of weeks' time, so that is going to be really, really, really important for them. But again, it's an important victory. It's an incredible performance from Atletico Madrid. They would take it. Diego Simeone would take it, leading into the next couple of weeks again. He will stay top of the table with Atletico Madrid, and they will try and manage, their games. They'll try and manage their season from here. They just want to get past the finish line and win the league. They don't care about the details. They don't care about the nitty-gritty stuff. They will just care about winning, about finishing at the top, and just raising the trophy of Laliga in the end of the season. It doesn't really matter for them how they play. They just want to win the league at the end of the season, and they will not give a damn whether it would come by great performances or by cagey 1-0 victories. They'll just get the 3 points, and that's it for Simeone at this point. They can't let it slip, and they can't let the lead slip. They can't let the top of the table position slip from them at the moment, particularly with the results around them. And an important result around them was, of course, the result of their neighbours in the city, Real Madrid, who'd drawn away from home goalless against Getafe in a game where they felt tired. They clearly felt tired. They were lacking the depth of the squad, of course. They were not exactly athletic. They should have lost, really. They had a goal disallowed, yes, but I think Getafe should have gotten a penalty at the very least. There was a penalty shout for Getafe that was pretty controversial, but not given in the end. Getafe had a great game. They frustrated Real Madrid, didn't allow them the spaces that they wanted to, or they usually got against other opponents. And overall, Real Madrid again should have lost this game. Should have really gotten this is not the result they deserved. I think they deserved losing mostly, but they got the draw. They held on to the draw at the end because Getafe, in the later parts of the game, were really, really pressing strong to get a winner, but Real Madrid held on to a point, but that point is going to hurt them. 3 points now behind Atletico Madrid, of course, and Barcelona winning could get them over Real Madrid with 2 points behind Atletico Madrid at the very top. Real Madrid, I think this is the stretch of the season where we'll see what's going to be happening for them, where we'll see how the squad is going to be affected, whether they're going to be tired or not, whether they will be, whether they will be able to cope with the next couple of games with the limited squad that they had. I mean, you don't really believe it until you see it. You see the squad that was, available for this game, and you see the sort of limited options for Zinedine Zidane. You saw it really in the substitutions. You get someone like Antonio Blanco and someone like Sergio Arribas to play, and you don't have real great subs who could affect the game. Karim Benzema didn't start. Mariano Diaz started. He had the goal chalked off for offside for millimeters, really. For offside, you didn't have a lot of options really in the bench to talk about with Antonio Blanco, Sergio Arribas, mostly youngsters really, who couldn't add a lot of value to Real Madrid and couldn't make any sort of significant effort really in the game. So overall, 2 matches only left in this fixture, with Athletic Bilbao playing Real Valladolid, Barcelona facing Granada. The title race still going on in Spain and still involved, of course, 3 teams. I mean, technically 4, if you consider Sevilla. 6 points ahead behind Atletico Madrid. They still have a chance, but, mathematically speaking, Real Madrid and Barcelona are closer to do that than Sevilla, of course, depending on the other results, and depending on Barcelona's result against Granada, which is a must-win for them if they want to keep the title race going, to keep the dream from happening. The question is, at the moment, Is this the end of the road for Real Madrid in terms of the title race? Is this the end of one of their dreams of winning the trophy and winning La Liga in Spain? We will wait and see what is going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. Of course, a big fixture awaits us in round 35, not the next one, the one after. Barcelona face Atletico Madrid, while Real Madrid host Sevilla. This is going to be big on the 8th of May, of course, to define how the title is going to be going for Barcelona when they face Atletico Madrid. And on the 9th, of course, Real Madrid face Sevilla in another big game as well. That's it for this episode. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from these episodes of the podcast, which you can listen to on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. Follow us on social media and website PSP on Twitter, page SitePod on Instagram. And until next time and next episode, hopefully going to be talking more about the European Super League tomorrow. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP, and goodbye.